Detroit's back, Kwab. Detroit's back.
What do you mean? Detroit
is back.
Detroit never left. What are you?
Detroit left. No.
Never left.
Detroit's been missing.
Detroit's
been on a milk carton for a long time.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Stop it.
No,
Stop.
that's
Kwab, they
not-
didn't even have 10 wins last year.
Oh, we're talking about Detroit basketball. You have to be.
We're
very
talking about
specific.
Detroit basketball.
Oh yeah,
baby.
but that's Detroit basketball is back. Definitely, you're back.
Yes,
You're back.
absolutely. It's back. Let's get to the box score. The Pistons beat the Celtics 117-97. Cade Cunningham, 21 points. Malik Beasley, 26 points, 6 3-pointers. Tobias Harris had 16-9. For the Celtics, Jayson Tatum, 27 points, 6 rebounds. Derek White had 18, and so did Peyton Pritchard. Both had 5 threes. But Kwab, like I said before, Detroit is back, baby. Detroit is back. Detroit is back. You don't seem happy. I'm happy. This is great for basketball.
You're turned up so much right now.
Bro, I think the Pistons, like I'm a Knicks fan, and a lot of times when I talk to other fan bases, and when the Knicks started getting good again, regardless of what they thought about the Knicks, they would say, I really do think it's good that the Knicks are good for are good again. It's good for basketball. That's how I feel about the Pistons. Because the Pistons in the 80s were a premier franchise. They were a premier franchise in the 2000s in that era. I feel like they are a classic franchise. And when they're good, the NBA's better. I've always felt that way.
I agree with that completely. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So I'm happy to see the Pistons good again.
I mean, so am I. I'm not as turned up as you are right now. That's
Fine. Fair enough.
I'm not you're on 10 right now. I'm probably like
I am, man. Listen,
I'm on a 6-7 right now, maybe.
I was rooting hard for the Pistons. I really was.
Yes.
We wanted to, I don't want to say have an excuse, but we wanted to talk Pistons basketball for a while, or other teams that are on the come up, and this was the perfect opportunity to do so. A huge win at home against the Boston Celtics. I want to start off with Ausar Thompson. That's the first person I want to talk about. Unbelievable on defense. We spent so much time on this channel talking about his brother, Amen Thompson, that I feel like we have to just give this man his props too, right? There's another Thompson twin who was drafted just as high as him. They went back-to-back, right? Did they go back-to-back?
Back-to-back, yep.
They went back-to-back, and defensively, man, I mean, just causing complete chaos the whole game. I mean, his box score his stat line didn't make our box score. He had 7 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, but he had 5 steals.
Yeah.
5 steals, man. Just, I think, early on the Pistons came out of the gate hot, and the Celtics came right back, kind of tied the game and whatnot. And I thought the Pistons bench really set the tone in this game. Malik Beasley coming out firing. You could tell right away what this game meant to the Pistons. Beasley out the gate was screaming his head off.
Yeah.
And just showing all this emotion during the game. I thought Sasha played well, and I thought Ron Holland had a really good game as well. Cade was good in the pick and roll. I thought the Pistons, pick and roll game worked really effectively today. And just, overall, to me, just a really impressive game from the Pistons, specifically from Thompson, and specifically from the bench unit, and just specifically on the defensive end. I thought they played phenomenal defense today, turned the Celtics over, scored off of turnovers, and also dominated the offensive glass. Just really impressed with the Pistons. 8 straight games they have won. Detroit Pistons, they're back, baby. Kwab,
that's impressive.
go ahead.
I mean, I agree with you. Their defensive activity was turned up the whole game, and that was the difference between them and the Celtics. Usually, when we do recaps of Celtics games, we always talk about how well the Celtics defense was, and in this game, the Pistons defense stood out, and it was, like you said, it was headed by Thompson, who had a great game defensively. Not even, you could talk about the steals, but there were so many impact plays he blew up during the course of the game, which made a difference. I think earlier this year we had an episode where we talked about teams that not on a lot of people's radar, and it was the Pistons, it was the Pacers, and I think Sacramento. All these three teams were on a little bit of a run, and the Pistons are back on back to winning again. To me, a lot of, I guess, I give a lot of credit to your new general manager, Trajan Langdon, just because of the moves he made in offseason. And one, bringing in Bickerstaff, who would be in the discussion of the Coach of the Year. Also, if it didn't feel like a runaway with Kenny Atkinson. At Cleveland, funny enough, that's the team he used to coach.
Yeah.
But the moves that were made by Langdon, bringing in Tobias Harris, bringing in Tim Hardaway Jr. and Malik Beasley, just floor spacers that kind of changes the game. It helps out your best players. Now, your best player, Cade Cunningham, is not playing a phone booth every game. He's playing in space. And you saw it early on in the game, a couple of plays, like when they would go high pick and roll, him and Jalen Duren would go high pick and roll, and it would be a layup or a pass. There was space for them to work because
a lot of space.
You know what I mean? The
'Cause
defense
Horford
had to
was
worry
out.
about shooters.
Exactly. Horford was out the three-point line a few times, not in the able to help or protect the rim.
Exactly.
Beautiful basketball.
And like you said, Beasley checked in the game, and like he went nuts the whole game. 26 points. He's been playing really. He might be people were saying like the best contract in the league right now with his play. Like he keeps hitting big shots. He played well defensively, but he'll hit a three and do that little wiggle dance he does, and it's just been I mean, like you said, it's good for basketball to have the Pistons playing this well. And we saw this game on schedule like, yeah, we definitely want to do this game just because it's the Celtics, the top team, and the Pistons will look like going to be a lock for a playoff spot coming up in this season.
Yeah, man. And, honestly, I was hoping that, like, Detroit would be packed. I was hoping the arena would be full. It wasn't. Yeah. When the game started, I was like, man, why are there so many empty seats? Detroit, where you at, man? Come on. This team is 6 games above 500. They're in a playoff position. Like, I thought y'all were a basketball city. So it was kind of disappointing to see, like, the light crowd, but the crowd that was there was hype.
Yeah.
I mean, there were dudes, like, in the front row, like, standing the whole game and, like, yelling their freaking brains out. So everyone who showed up at the game, shout out to y'all because you guys really did bring it. But you could tell, man, like, the whole game, like, just from the energy. Not that Celtics didn't bring energy, but the Pistons were just, like, on cocaine. Bro.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
and I say that as a compliment.
Yeah. Just they were like you said, they were turned up like you were turned up to start this episode.
No,
like they were
seriously,
ready to go.
yes,
They were ready
yes.
to go in comparison. Like, and it felt like the Pistons were kind of. I mean, the Celtics weren't prepared for that. The way the game started.
Yeah, and then honestly, outside of the second quarter where the Celtics hit 9 threes, I think, like there was, like Horford was hitting a few, Peyton Pritchard had a few threes, Derek White had a few threes. Like outside of that second quarter, the Pistons whipped their ass.
Yeah, they
like,
dominated.
That's what it felt like.
Yeah, it felt like they dominated. Yeah.
They dominated this whole game. I mean, the Celtics were held under 100 points in a game where they hit 9 3-pointers in a quarter.
That's crazy.
That's wild thing. And listen, they were missing Jaylen Brown, but that's not to take anything away from the Pistons. But I thought they played fantastic defense. I mean, they were switching everything to start. There were times where they hedged, and they did everything really well. I mean, there were a few times where there was a few mental lapses where Al Horford maybe had an open three. In the beginning, especially, like they allowed some open threes, but the Celtics came out cold, so they kind of dodged a few bullets. But overall, I thought the defensive game plan was there. They do have the perimeter defenders to guard the Celtics, which is how I think you guard the Celtics, right? You put a lot of pressure on the perimeter, and you don't let them really get what they want on these pick and rolls, like being able to switch and being able to say, you know what, we're fine with a guard going one-on-one with Kristaps Porzingis. Like, we'll take that.
Yeah.
We'll take, and they were able to kind of just live with the results. I mean, there were very few times where a couple times they doubled for no reason, in my opinion, and they paid the price with the three. But for most of the game, I thought, they dictated like terms on that end of the floor. It wasn't the Celtics dictating terms. Jayson Tatum, I thought, for as much as Thompson was harassing him, I thought he played as well as you could possibly play, but there were a lot of possessions where they was just sloppy, and Thompson was all over him, and the Celtics could not just get a good shot because by the time they got the offense going, it's late in the shot clock. Just overall, a really good game, and then also, shout out to Cade Cunningham, 21 and 11. I thought the pick and roll with Duren was working beautifully. The Pistons were able to find players on the extra pass. Thompson, who's not a shooter like his brother, gets the ball in the corner, and instead of like holding it, he would pass it right away or drive right away. He was very decisive with the rock, even though he knew people were playing off of him. Is what you need to be. If they're letting you shoot, you either have to shoot that or you have to be very decisive with what you're doing, and he was. So overall, I think it was just a really good game from the Pistons, and they shut the door in the fourth quarter. Going into the fourth quarter with an 11-point lead, I think, and not letting the Celtics come back. And Joe Mazzulla emptied the bench really early, about 5 minutes.
Yeah, with like 5 minutes, he put in like the deep bench. I was like, damn, like he waved the white flag early, but I guess he kind of saw where the game was headed. They couldn't cut into the lead. Anything they tried.
Right.
Like you said with Tatum, like numbers wise, 10 for 19 had a good game. There were times again, like we've had the gripe with him. Like there are times we feel like he takes too many tough shots in the course
He
of
took
the
a
game.
lot of tough shots today. Yeah.
But he played well. It's just like he ended up taking a lot of tough shots that factored into the loss. Like really good game by Peyton Pritchard off the bench with what was it, 18 points.
Yeah, 5 threes.
5 threes. Like, but other than that, like if you look up and down like the stats of the team, like they struggled. Even though they hit shots, they struggled to shoot. They were very sloppy. And another thing we talk about with the Celtics is that if a team can get stops and run on them, you have a chance of beating them. And the Pistons were like causing chaos, and they had a bunch of fast breaks. Sometimes they will stop and shoot threes that we love.
Yeah.
We love 3-on-1 fast breaks ending up in a 3-pointer. Just
Please, let's stop. Let's keep this on the rails, Kwab. Let's keep this podcast on the rails.
they hit him. Malik Beasley hit him. Hey man, it works out. It works out. It works out, man.
Before we go, Kwab, realistically, can you see the Pistons winning a round? They would probably have to play either the Knicks, Bucks, or Pacers first round, depending on if they finish 6, 5, or 4, maybe 3. Who knows? But that would be one of their opponents. Do you think that they could pull off a first round upset against any of those 3 teams?
Yeah, I mean, I think them against the Pacers would just be hilarious because like they've had a little bit of a rivalry all year.
Yeah.
Them against the Knicks would be hilarious from my personal viewpoint, just because it would it
Give
would
me a
stress
heart
you
attack.
out. It would
Yeah, they
stress
beat
you
the
out.
Knicks in the Garden earlier this year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they did.
Yeah.
I think it will stress you out. Yeah, even the Bucks have been inconsistent all year. Like like it's matchups. It depends on matchups. They have a chance. They like for a team that has a mix of young players and some veterans. They kind of know who they are. It looks like they know what their roles are, and it works out. I mean, even this game, what's his name didn't play. Dennis Schroeder didn't play.
Right.
And he's just because I've been watching him all year because I'm a Nets fan. He's been having a solid year all year when he played on the Nets, when he played on Golden State, and now Detroit. So he's another factor in that would help the team. So yeah, I feel like they could win a round. Which I mean, hopefully it's not against the Knicks just for
Listen. You saw how hype I was to start this video.
Yeah, you're gonna be real hyped.
Imagine
if
the
that
exact
matchup
opposite. Imagine the exact opposite if they beat the Knicks in a 7-game series. But listen, shout out to the Pistons, shout out to Detroit. Boston catches an L, which is always a happy day for a New Yorker.
Hey, yeah.
But it is what it is. Listen, I don't care. I hate Boston sports. Can't stand Boston sports. But I'm not gonna sit here and act like they're not better than the Knicks. It is what it is. I'm gonna hate from a distance.
You just hate him, man. You just
Hate from a distance.
Get the hit out your blood, bro.
All right, listen, if you want to follow Dime, you can on everywhere at the Dime NBA. I'm Josh Rodriguez at Josh_Rodriguez_. He's Kwab at Kwab AKS. We'll see you next time for another reaction of the Dime. Peace.